From out of the man cave and onto the air, it's your favorite voice of ecstasy, John St. John, and the best morning after ever radio show. Here he is, John St. John.
I am. A special In the Bunker radio show. We are not in our normal studios. We are doing our Friday after New Year's entertainment show, and we're hidden away, so you cannot find us. So don't be throwing anything at the window over at Slam, because we're not over there. We're doing a special broadcast from our private bunker, and I hope it sounds good and everybody enjoys what they're hearing anyway. I am, of course, your host, John St. John, as always, of the Best Morning After Ever radio show. I am sans, I like using the Latin. I am without my co-host, Cindy Lou. She is out on assignment, so we'll be hearing from her possibly in other shows, or she was on with us earlier in the week. You can listen to her as well during earlier shows. But without further ado, let's get right into it. We've got a lot of stuff going on in the new year. We want to talk about entertainment going on in Chicago area, Vegas, L.A., New York, but mostly Chicago like always. And we're going to welcome back in the new year. Happy New Year, Rich Gore. How's it going? You ready to talk entertainment in the new year?
Hey, you betcha, John St. John. I'm in my man cave over here, and you're in yours over there.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So what's going on? Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to all of our listeners. Gotta wish everybody a Happy New Year, too.
Let's not leave out the listeners, right? We love the listeners.
No, we love them, but you gotta wish them a Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody listening. There we go. And Rich. And my announcer. Strike the pose.
Yes, Happy New Year, folks.
He's actually live in the studio with us. That doesn't happen that often.
And is everybody sober? That's what I want to know.
Well, it is Friday, so we've had a couple days, you know.
Okay. Like a little entertainment.
Please.
Chicago just had a treat. They had Cirque Dreams come into Chicago and do Cirque Dreams holidays. That's their new Cirque show. Now, this is not to be confused with Cirque du Soleil.
I would have just asked you that. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is Cirque Dreams, and they do shows all around the country and out of the country as well. They've hit they'll hit 30 cities, and they'll hit 15 different countries to do Cirque shows, Cirque Dreams shows. They do shows in all over the place. And
Vegas, New York, L.A., Chicago, basically, or no?
All over.
Okay.
There's 150 artists.
Wow.
For 100 and a crew of over 15 countries. John St. John.
Whoa.
They travel country to country, and they travel Pompano Beach, and they travel all over the country, and that's why it's worth discussing this new show that they're doing, which is Cirque Dreams holidays, because you may have heard of Cirque Dreams Jungle Fantasy. You may have heard of Cirque Dreams Revealed, Cirque Dreams Splastastic, or Cirque Dreams Illumination, or Cirque Dreams Rocks. They even go on cruise ships, by the way. Well, in any event.
So wait a minute. That is the same troupe that does the ones that are in Vegas, and they have been in Chicago, of course, as well. But it's just a different show.
It's a different show, and this is not Cirque du Soleil.
Gotcha. But the same people that put it on, or no?
No, not the same people.
Not even the same people. Okay, I don't want to confuse the audience. I'll let Richard keep talking. But again, this is a separate from any show you would see in Vegas or Broadway or Chicago.
That's correct. This is the presenter of the show is Jam Productions, and they do big time. They do 30 cities, bringing in major things like Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot or the Book of Mormon, or August Osage County. That's Jam Theatricals. In any event, let's talk about Cirque Dreams just for a minute to let you know what their new show is all about. It's not only a cirque show, it's also a variety show. And they describe it as well, first of all, there were over 300 costumes and 20 acts and 30 artists. And they did it at the Chicago Theater here in Chicago. And they closed closed it just last week. It's a combination of a new Cirque show, a Broadway musical, a Christmas spectacular. It's a holiday stage extravaganza, as they describe it, and it is, with snowmen and penguins and angels and reindeer and toy soldiers and gingerbread men and illusionists and singers and original music. It's a lot of fun, by the way. And I've got to tell you that they did a couple of things that just were absolutely astounding, just fascinating.
What is it, acrobatic, similar to the Cirque du Soleil, or no?
Absolutely, but it's a variety show. It's got a lot of things in it that are very different. One of the guys, you've seen them do the juggling of the balls, right? You've seen them do 3 balls and 4 balls and 5 and 6 balls. But I've never seen anybody juggling 8 balls, bouncing them on the floor and catching them. There's a lot of surprises. There's a lot of humor in it. They did some costume changes that were just incredible. It's illusion at its best. Well, that's Cirque Dreams,
and that's the jam version of Cirque du Soleil, basically.
Yes, absolutely. They do their own thing. They don't want to be confused with Cirque du Soleil.
Okay, I hope we didn't confuse anybody.
No.
What else? I'm excited to hear more stuff.
Well, another major production company, Broadway in Chicago, has closed 4 of its shows. They were all spectacular, by the way. Cinderella was the latest one I got a chance to see. That's the 2013 Tony Award-winning Broadway musical over at the Cadillac Palace. And that was a neat show. That's the Rodgers and Hammerstein's award-winning musical. It's a new take on the beloved tale. And in this one, there's just tons of humor, and they kind of bring it up to date. And costumes and staging were first-rate. It's today's Cinderella, not the original. It was written for television, by the way, in 1957.
And that's the version they used for the play, is that right?
No.
Oh, okay.
Cinderella was originally written for television in 1957, starring Julie Andrews.
Oh, sure. And then this one is the new version. I gotcha. Okay.
And then they moved the show to Broadway, where it made its Broadway debut, and it won a whole ton of awards on Broadway because of the music and whatever. And this is a new version of that 2013 Tony Award-winning Broadway musical.
Now, will it go to New York now as well, since it left Chicago first, or what?
These shows never seem to die. The good ones always seem to come back.
Gotcha.
This was done at the Cadillac Palace Theater here in Chicago, but it'll appear all over the country. So if you get a chance to see the new Cinderella, go catch the new Cinderella. It's not the same story. It's the same basic story, but it's brought to this world where women have a much bigger say in politics and in things and in the vote and those than they did in those days. She's not waiting around for Prince Charming to show up, by the way.
Well, they put a little twist on it.
Yeah, but she snags him anyway. In any event, Broadway in Chicago brings us the world premiere of Hansel and Gretel. They combined with Emerald Theater. They did Newsies, which was just a fantastic show. The Chicago premiere of the Disney Newsies, the original Broadway hit musical. And let's see.
And you got to see all the good ones before the rest of the audience. Make sure it was acceptable for everybody, right?
And these shows will tour the country. Dee Snider's Rock and Roll Christmas Tale. That was a world premiere that he did here.
Is that over with already? Even in the first week of New Year, it's already done?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I wanted to see that. Hey, I got a question for you, not to throw you off too much, but you're talking about Broadway in Chicago closing out. Does that mean the Jersey Boys and the $1 Million Quartet are also done for now in Chicago?
Oh, no. I'll get to that, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you, no, the Jersey Boys is done in Chicago, but Jersey Boys will be back, and the $1 Million Quartet, by the way, just made an offer. They extended that show through the spring of 2015, as they have for many years now. They keep extending
They keep extending it. That's great because I got to catch that one too.
And the offer, it's an unprecedented offer for it's a winter weather guarantee in the event that from January till March. In the event that the weather makes a difference in getting to the show, they'll exchange it for another show.
Oh.
The $1 Million Quartet is Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins. It's a fabulous show.
Oh, yeah, that'll hold up. And I know that was on Broadway at some point, if not still there, too.
$1 Million Quartet, never on Broadway.
That one wasn't on Broadway?
I may be wrong about that.
I thought it was on maybe, okay, off-Broadway in New York. How about that? It played in New York, as far as I was told. So
That'll work.
All I know is I want to see it in Chicago, and so does everybody else. It's a popular show.
Well, it's been running over 3 years now, by the way. Another world premiere is still running. The Chicago has fabulous theaters. Steppenwolf Theater, for example, is running another world premiere, and that's going to open on Broadway. You can catch it in New York after it closes here on February the 8th. You know, remember I think we mentioned the burlesque performer down in New Orleans who had her own club and decided to do her funeral party before she passed away. Invited all her friends. Cool show. The Merry Widow at the Light Opera Works in Evanston, a hop, skip, and a jump from Chicago. By the way, all the Chicago theaters are not in Chicago itself.
No, you get to tour a little bit, like Evanston going to North Side, right?
That's right. If you get to the north side of Chicago, there's some fabulous theaters out there. We've got the only theater in an operating train station there in Evanston, and that's the Piccolo Theater. We've also got the Light Opera Works right across the street from the Northwestern campus, by the way. And Light Opera Works they did an operetta. And they've been doing Broadway shows like The Sound of Music, and they'll have 4 fabulous shows next year as well. But they won't start their season until June, and then they go every couple of months from June to the end of the year. The Merry Widow is the most popular Viennese operetta, by the way, and you know it's they had a New Year's Eve show, and I've got to mention it because they have over 50, 60 people performing in this. They have an orchestra of over almost 30 musicians, and they match that by the number of performers that they have on stage.
Wow, that's a big cast for a smaller theater outside of Broadway in Chicago.
The after party is incredible.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
I mean, lots of room for it, but the show itself was terrific. The voices are incredible. The talent of the people that are involved. There's plenty of humor in this one because it's the Merry Widow. You know, she's getting chased for her money to stay in a small country so they don't go bankrupt. Costuming is terrific. You might compare the Merry Widows to one of today's Cougars, Cougar Party, if you want to. In any event, it's a long show. They certainly give you the full amount of your money's worth. This show had 2 intermissions, not just one, and was about 2.5 hours in length. And they just do a wonderful job out there. So if you ever get to the Light Opera Works, get there. And they do not travel anywhere. They're a Chicago-based outfit. And they stay here. It's a Chicago-based theater, and they stay here. I should also mention Chicago Shakespeare Theater, which has a reputation, and you'll see things coming from the Chicago Shakespeare Theater in cities and even other countries around the world. They've got short Shakespeare Macbeth coming up on January the 17th, running to February the 14th.
Would that be at their theater? That's their main theater over at Navy Pier in Chicago, right? The tourist section there of Chicago?
You bet. And it's actually, you can see from the theater itself, it's right next to the big Ferris wheel. It's a 75-minute version, by the way. It's called Short Shakespeare because it's built for an audience, not of kids, but it's built to hold the attention of younger people.
Yeah, the millennials, can't handle more than 10 minutes of stuff, 15, So 75 is probably pushing it too.
It's not for the real small ones. It's not for 3-year-olds, but I'd say 5 and up is okay. It's shortened version of it is political intrigue and ambition. It's all ages. They will not kick out a 3-year-old either, but it's probably a little bit too deep for a 3-year-old to really appreciate. And if you recall, Macbeth is the very famous line, and the three witches that came out of Macbeth, bubble, bubble, toil, and trouble.
Yep.
And this was 400 years ago, and this thing is still alive and well, and the artistic director, Barbara Gaines, has won many awards.
And she's popular, and the show is popular. Shakespeare Theater is popular here in Chicago. I don't know how big of a movement that even is in New York or L.A. or Vegas, for that matter. That's a big thing here for Chicago tourism.
The only one that comes close is probably the Globe Theater in England to what they do here with Chicago Shakespeare. But Shakespearean plays are performed all over. On their main stage, by the way, running through January the 18th, is Pericles, and they have taken Shakespeare and brought him into today's world. By the way, they use his language. They use the poetic version. They use iambic pentameter, which is the verse that he wrote in 400 years ago. But they bring it current. Costuming is current. It's like it could happen today or happened yesterday, or it could happen tomorrow. And his stories have never died because they are stories that concern and bring the human condition into view. 400 years later, there are very few people that their works or what they've attempted to do it remains for that kind of length of time. So there's got to be a lot more to it. I liked Pericles because of its humor, because it brought it a little bit, even though it was the language of the Shakespeare at the time. It's an epic romance with many characters, and it's done in Chicago Shakespeare style.
It's some good stuff. In Chicago. Check out Shakespeare while you're here in Chicago. That'd be great. We only have about a minute and a half or so left on the segment. Are there some really big ones that opened up you want to touch on real quick?
Let me mention a couple of shows that are still going to be running for a while. If you're in Chicago, you really should get to Second City. That has an international, national, and international reputation.
Oh yeah, of course.
They're doing their 103rd review, and it's real difficult to make people laugh about Ebola, but they do.
They always figure it out at Second City, right?
And always Patsy Cline up at Theater UBK, that cabaret theater up on the north side of Chicago at 6900 North Glenwood. They have Patsy Cline. They have extended that through January 31st. Looking Glass Theater is one of my favorites, and their show is one of my favorite shows. It's Lewis Carroll's Looking Glass Alice. It was just terrific, as it has been in the past. INU at Red Twist, a little storefront theater with seats about 50 people. Fantastic Chicago premiere, INU. Let's mention a couple of see if I can mention a couple of the neat shows that are coming up, like The Rose Tattoo, Tennessee Williams play January 15th to February the 28th at Theater Wit. That has 3 different theaters in it. It's right next door to Stage 773, so there's 6 theaters in the same block. This is
boy, they get a lot out for their money if they go hang out over there.
Well, you have a lot of choices. You pick one of 6 shows in the same block at Belmont and about the 1200 block. By the way, this is a Tennessee Williams award-winning comedy drama, Italian-American community. Smuggler husband gets killed, and overprotective mom, and she's a survivor, and she meets a truck driver. But this show meets a truck driver, by the way, and it changes her life. In 1950, this show opened in Chicago prior to going to Broadway. It won, I think, 4 Tony Awards, including the Best Play. And in 1955, they made the movie, which was nominated for 8 Academy Awards and won 3 of them. So Tennessee Williams is no slouch when it comes to writing a play.
Well, that's you covered so much. We literally need you on for like 3 shows in one, But we're actually getting up on needing to take a break right now. So I know you like to do your classic sign off, and I think we got to allot some more time for Richard. I really do.
Let me just say, hey, old bean, and you too, baby. This is Rich, your entertainment concierge, signing off. And until next time, we'll see you on the radio, and stay warm.
Thanks again, Rich, and Happy New Year to you again. And we'll obviously talk to you next week. Take care. And we'll be right back with the best morning after, right after this.
Don't be stupid with your skin. It's the only skin you're in. Know what's good and bad to do. Find the right and wrong for you. It's time you learn what it's about. 'Cause indoor tanning is out. UV lamps from a tanning bed, they can turn your skin beet red. Wrinkles come from the UV light, and age spots make you a frightful sight. With UV light, it gets worse. Skin cancer is a wicked curse. Don't be the one that's tan and dead. Use your brain, use your head. It's time you learn what it's about. 'Cause indoor tanning is out. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Welcome back to the best morning after ever radio program with your host, John St. John, and we're speaking all entertainment.
I'm back. This is John St. John without my normal co-host of The Gentleman G or Cindy Lou tonight. I'm flying solo, but that doesn't mean I can't have guests on. And I do have my awesome announcer who's sitting in studio.
That's right. Awesome.
So The Pose is with us. Strike the Pose. You can check us out on YouTube where you'll be able to hear this as well as see some photos. And then, of course, on Slam Internet Radio and Spreaker and wherever else we are now. iHeart, I think.
And by the way, millennials do not use the term awesome, just so you guys are aware of that.
Okay, so our really good show. There we go. Well, maybe the president can chime in, but before he does, I just gave it away. We have a very special guest. He's been on the show before. He wanted us to be in an undisclosed bunker once again, so we did it. We're in our bunker, long way away from Chicago. So I want to bring up something kind of important that happened. It all stemmed from the release of the movie The Interview, a Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg production, and they directed it. It starred Seth Rogen as Aaron Rappaport, James Franco as the star, David Skylark, and Randall Park as Kim Jong-un. And what happens is they end up they're liked by Kim Jong-un. Okay, he's obviously a very isolationist type person, and the country is cut off from the rest of the world. But it turns out that Kim Jong-un is a big fan of James Franco's show, David Skylark's show called The Skylark Interview. So anyway, that movie sparked so much controversy. There was a whole shutdown of Sony Pictures. Well, not a shutdown, but like a hack of their site. And a lot of information was revealed. They weren't going to release the movie, and then at the last minute they did. But in the meantime, the president got involved, and we're going to talk to him in a minute, made comments about, hopefully, they're saying that it wasn't a problem. He was upset that Sony didn't consult with the government first, the White House, before they decided not to release it. He addressed, obviously, the hacks. And then the Korean leaders decided to have their say. They first said they would help us and try to get to behind what happened. And then it turned into a big insult match, and the president can probably address that in just a second here. Let me see if do we have our secure line. President Obama, are you on with us?
Yes, here. I would like to address the people of North Korea.
Hi, hello, welcome to our secure line here on the Best Morning After Ever radio show. We are listening, this is our Friday afternoon show. We're talking about The Interview, and we definitely want to talk to you about your reaction to the movie and what Kim Jong-un has said about you.
Well, as I bite into my KFC chicken here, I think the white man is absolutely fantastic. And coleslaw for breakfast for a black man like me is just wonderful. Anyway.
So, is that your official position on addressing the movie, or?
I have something to say. North Korea called me a monkey. No one has ever called Barack Hussein Obama a monkey.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there have been racist epitaphs thrown at the black community in the past, but I don't think I've heard the president directly. So you're responding to the threats that they made after they decided to work with you. This just happened earlier in the week, right before New Year's. You're talking about that, correct?
Well, correct. However, when you remember back when I was first elected, many, many death threats. People called me porch monkey. They called me many racist slurs. And I was even attempted assassination.
You know, I just found the actual statement that was issued about you, Mr. President, that the North Korean government, their central news agency, released a statement from the North Korean government that President Obama always goes reckless in words and deeds like a monkey in a tropical forest. Wow. That's pretty rough. Does this hurt our relationship with the country? Not that it could get any worse. I mean, do we have to send Dennis Rodman over there again or what?
Well, I was going to send Dennis Rodman to the military, train him in advanced tactics, and then send him.
I like your strategy.
I'm going to send a bucket of fried chicken, AFC, extra crispy, over there with 2 blonde girls.
Mr. President, you're always a humorist, aren't you? You definitely know how to address criticism very well. You take it very well.
I'm going to make a joke at Barack Hussein Obama.
Well, one thing we did learn on our last interview we were able to have with you is you are a fan of churches and Kentucky Fried.
I love that more than I love my wife.
Oh, well, there's been some allegations about you having affairs, so I guess I don't know how much do you actually love it.
I would like to first tell you a joke.
Go right ahead, Mr. President. You have the floor.
You know, I've smoked so much of this happy weed that I can't even remember any jokes off the top of my head.
All right. So we didn't. A good thing this is a secure line, so nobody can trace this. So you're admitting to the fact that you're a pot smoker on top of everything else that's been alleged. You're now a monkey. No, I'm sorry. You're a monkey in a tropical forest, and now you're also a marijuana enthusiast. Very interesting. It's been a very revealing interview. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap up the show. I know you are the president of one of the most powerful countries in the world, but we do run out of time, unfortunately. So I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule there. I know you're on vacation in Hawaii, and thank you for your time, Mr. President.
Yes.
Well, you have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
That concludes the Best Morning After Ever radio show. You can find us all over the internet just by searching those words.